we had a lot of places that money needed to go.
Kody and Robyn don't want another wife because they've been monogamous all along. Here's what the cameras didn't show you.
This house that is the bed and breakfast is actually the house.
Mary runs her bed and breakfast and promotes her MLM business. Janelle manages Tata Farms and has her own MLM venture. Christine is publishing a book, owns 2 B&Bs, and is also involved in an MLM. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn rely entirely on the TV show. Without it, staying in the McMansion becomes difficult unless they revive the old playbook and bring in another wife.
There's a card here that says that he's going to have another wife.
But realistically, there's no market for a book about Kody or Robyn, and a show focused solely on the two of them would lose steam fast. On the other hand, watching Kody get hit with another divine revelation and start aggressively courting a new wife, that could get attention, especially if it's real.
And it's not fair for him.
Tears from Robyn, Kody kissing someone new, their youngest kids forced to witness the spectacle. Maybe, just maybe, Robyn would begin to understand what the original 3 wives and their children experienced. Though given her track record, that seems unlikely.
So we had a lot of places that money needed to go that weren't always Janelle's business.
At this point, the original wives have moved on, and the only question left is whether they'll receive a fair portion of the financial pie, while Kody and Robyn try to keep things going without the show's income. As for another wife joining the family, highly unlikely. Any recent mention of it appears to be for show, scripted lines designed to create buzz, not genuine plans. Especially considering that Kody no longer follows the faith that once justified plural marriage. And let's not forget, any prospective new wife would need to be wealthy enough to compensate for the income once provided by the original wives, and young enough to continue the family line. That combination doesn't seem to be walking through the door anytime soon.
It wasn't in the rotation. Mary and I aren't in that kind of relationship.
In truth, Kody and Robyn have functioned as a monogamous couple for years, even before their official marriage. The era of new wives is over. Here's what no one wants to say out loud about Robyn Brown. She never lived plural marriage a day in her life.
Robyn would have struggled to fit in with the first group of wives. Living situation? She married into the family and immediately got her own house.
We lived all together in one 3-bedroom trailer in the beginning.
The original 3 wives? They started out packed into a single trailer. All of them. One trailer. Robyn wouldn't have lasted a day in that setup, unless it came with granite countertops and central air. Finances? She didn't pay bills or contribute financially.
I'm just, in my mind, just going, please help her to see what value I am to this family.
Even she admitted she felt insecure about it, hoping everyone would see her value in helping with the kids. Helping, not supporting, not working, just showing up occasionally, and yet
She was able to maintain those rules.
she eventually had enough resources to hire a nanny. The other wives raised all the kids and worked to support the family.
Work ethic? Robyn didn't have to work.
You want me to do all the work and you get the money for it.
Instead, she got the follow your dreams treatment, which meant drawing and selling homemade jewelry no one asked for. The original wives didn't get to chase hobbies. They were too busy holding the entire family together, emotionally and financially. Raising kids?
There's days I'll have, Janelle's kids over and she's come over and picked them up and stuff.
Back then, all the children were shared responsibility. Every house had toddlers, every mom helped raise everyone's kids. There's no way Robyn could have demanded the time and attention she devotes to Sol and Ari in the early days. It wouldn't have flown, not when so many others needed just as much. She's never truly lived plural marriage, not in the way the others did.
Because she legally divorced Dad so that we could be adopted.
She entered a system that bent itself to accommodate her. As for those supposed other options she had before joining the family, there's serious doubt that any other family was actually vying for her hand. At the time, she had 3 young children, a mountain of debt, no practical job skills, and no interest in working. What she needed wasn't a spiritual connection. It was a stable setup where someone else would carry the load. And she found it. A husband with stars in his eyes, a growing income, and wives already shouldering the hard parts.
And Robyn's house is going to be so significant. I get my exercise going up and down the stairs and down the hallway.
Before meeting him, her circumstances weren't exactly glamorous. She'd been living in a trailer court until her family moved her to St. George and rented a house for her. She was determined never to go back to that life. So when the opportunity came along to trade a struggling single-parent situation for financial comfort and full-time adoration, she took it and never looked back. Robyn is not a giver. She's a taker, and always has been. She's never done the kind of work, in or out of the home, that defined the lives of the other wives. And now, she's perched comfortably while the man who reshaped his whole life for her is left dealing with the consequences. And when she decides she's done, she won't walk away empty-handed. The real reason sister wives never talked about the abuse? It would have shut the show down.
Mary's the most strict.
I think it depends on what.
At this point, Mary has been accused of abuse by Maddie, Gwen, Michael T., and Peden. Peden has stated that he couldn't reveal the full extent of what happened because their parents rely on income from the show, and being fully honest about Mary might jeopardize that. This likely explains why Maddie deleted her tweets and why Michael T. claimed she didn't recall the physical assault that Gwen reported. Mary is, to some extent, protected by the financial security the family gets from sister wives, which could be threatened if the abuse allegations are taken seriously enough. This situation isn't about Mary being upset over Janelle's first husband. It's not a matter of her simply being a disciplinarian. And it's certainly not about whether the victims are credible. They are. They're simply sharing truths that some people would rather not confront. Maddie pointed out something critical, that Mary positioned herself as the victim while being the aggressor. That pattern has been consistent. For instance, when Mary was called out for how she treated Janelle early in the marriage, she framed herself as the one being hurt, ignoring the harm she caused others because she felt criticized.
You know what I was going to do to him?
Gwen has also spoken about violence in the home, including incidents where Kody hit them hard enough to leave marks. This suggests that physical punishment was normalized in the household.
Plural marriage could be the one thing that...
McKelty indicated that this pattern may have shifted after Robyn entered the picture. Still, it's clear that corporal punishment, or worse, was part of how the children were raised.
Cooking for the group like we had. We have learned to buy.
The family lived in poverty, much like many others in fundamentalist groups. Too little food, poor living conditions, and children largely left to care for each other. This is a core issue with polygamy. There are never enough resources or attention to go around.
I don't want my girls dressed immodestly.
I've seen worse.
I've seen way worse.
Mary often appeared cold and strict, likely shaped by her own unhappiness in the lifestyle and her struggle to gain Kody's attention. Her comments about second chances suggest personal growth, and she does appear to have a loving relationship with Robyn's children. It's also evident that she experienced deep pain from her fertility struggles while other wives had multiple children. That kind of grief is real. But directing that frustration toward the children was harmful.
Well, we're going. Let's go. The kids just didn't seem to be that into it.
Mary's behavior, such as forbidding children from entering her part of the house or scolding them for being too loud, may have seemed harsh, especially in contrast to Janelle's absentee parenting style or Christine's more relaxed approach. Her rigid, type A personality clashed with the other wives and the children, and that rigidity was often interpreted as emotional or verbal abuse.
And I look back and there's a lot of times where I was so frustrated. But
the tension between Mary and Janelle was long-standing. Mary, who is highly structured and controlling, likely resented Janelle's laid-back demeanor and the history between them, including Janelle's previous marriage to Mary's brother. Fertility issues only deepened that divide.
I believe in being chaste before we're married. It's very important.
While some behaviors, like spanking, were widely accepted in religious communities at the time, it's important to acknowledge that hitting children, regardless of cultural norms, has long-term consequences. The science has been clear for decades, even if acceptance has been slow,
especially in insular or fundamentalist groups. No one has claimed Mary was physically abusive to adults. Her issues centered on control, order, and an inflexible way of doing things. Combined with Janelle's indirect communication style, this created lasting conflict and dysfunction. For years, Mary was expected to change, to conform, to keep the peace. But the deeper dynamics of this family, shaped by polygamy, poverty, and repression, created an environment where harm was too often dismissed or hidden.
What if Mary's big house drama wasn't about greed, but about heartbreak?
Wet bar. I mean, I just loved it. I love the thought of having all that space.
Mary often catches criticism for wanting or having a large, well-appointed home despite only having one child. But consider this. What if it wasn't about selfishness at all?
Every time he says that, it just kind of makes me cringe a little bit because it's an invitation to do life on my own.
What if the motivation behind the big house was actually a last-ditch effort to get Kody's attention? For years, Kody had been emotionally and physically distant from Mary. She was clearly trying to reclaim some connection. A beautiful, spacious home might have seemed like a way to entice him back, an environment he'd actually want to spend time in. After all, Kody has always gravitated toward comfort and aesthetics. There's a pattern.
Dump all of his stuff at Mary's house or Janelle's house. When you marry Robyn, you're going to shower at her house.
He avoided using the basement shower at Christine's because he preferred the ones elsewhere. He rarely spent time in Janelle's smaller living spaces when he could be at Robyn's larger, more polished home. Mary may have thought a nice house would tip the scales in her favor. And take a look at her current living situation. Her bed and breakfast. It's modest and unassuming. It holds sentimental value, yes, but if she were truly driven by materialism, she likely would have traded it for something larger or more luxurious by now. Instead, she's chosen to renovate and preserve it.
We filled the trucks up. We don't have a place to put them, so we're just going to park them on the property.
It's also worth noting that when she moved to Flagstaff, her personal preference was for a townhouse or a loft-style apartment. It was Kody who pushed for her to get a larger home, one he rarely visited, aside from using it for storage.
When I walked into the model home and I saw the wet bar.
Then there's the infamous wet bar in the Las Vegas house. It drew a lot of judgment, but it served a real purpose. Mary paid for it herself and used it to host product parties related to her business ventures.
Well, Mary has a drive. She's got an ability to get things done. She's got an ability to...
While multi-level marketing has its problems, she was actively contributing financially at a time when options were limited. With minimal career experience, no college degree, and little in the way of savings, her opportunities were far from ideal. A low-wage job wasn't going to support a mortgage. Meanwhile, others didn't even attempt to contribute.
There's just no point in trying to be joyful about this purchase.
I just don't know how right now.
So perhaps the big house wasn't about indulgence. It was about survival, hope, and trying to stay relevant in a family where she was increasingly being pushed to the margins. They called it a pond. It was a ditch. And somehow, that's not even the wildest part. During the Coyote Pass period, the level of drama surrounding a so-called pond was wildly disproportionate.
I'm thinking about parasitic worms and...
Especially considering the pond didn't even contain water at the time. One person wanted to build a deck nearby, presumably under the illusion that it was picturesque.
You can't see yourself fishing every morning?
Another assumed there would be fish to catch. In reality, it was nothing more than a donut-shaped ditch. Even more baffling was the complete lack of concern from any of the adults about their children jumping into stagnant, muddy runoff. And this was after someone explicitly warned,
Okay, just don't drink any of it. There's cow manure in it.
Don't open your mouth, there's cow manure in it, as the kids were already splashing around. The lack of basic due diligence about the land itself was astounding.
land. So we have no sewer, we have no water, we have no power.
The entire area functioned as a runoff zone populated by prairie dogs and devoid of essential infrastructure. No water lines, no septic system, no utilities, no paved roads. Yet there were still grand plans in place. One person often viewed as the practical one, even envisioned using the runoff ditch to irrigate crops for a farm-to-table restaurant.
The greenhouse and Janelle being near the greenhouse and near the growing area.
The idea defied logic. In truth, the argument over the pond wasn't about the pond at all. It served as a stand-in for long-standing resentment and unresolved family conflict.
Well, it wasn't about me having a house by the pond and having complete control over the pond.
The fight was symbolic, a manifestation of deeper fractures in the group's dynamic. For some, especially those who had contributed to past tensions, it was a moment of reckoning, cloaked in the absurdity of a waterless ditch. Robyn said she was just following Kody's rules, but was she actually writing them? In COVID episode, it becomes clear who was truly behind the infamous COVID rules. Robyn. She appeared more fearful of the virus than anyone else in the family, even more than Kody.
I mean, I do want to be careful, but these aren't my rules.
And yet, throughout this time, she repeatedly insisted she was merely following Kody's rules. She emphasized it to the camera, to the family, anyone who would listen. The message? These rules weren't hers. She was just the obedient wife. Of course. When the family planned an outdoor gathering for Mykelti's pregnancy announcement, most were excited to see each other. Robyn, however, immediately voiced concerns, claiming it wasn't safe, even outdoors. At the actual event, Kody didn't seem too concerned about distancing. The other parents allowed their kids to play freely.
They're all rooting for her. Saul and Ari, a little more distance.
It was Robyn who jumped in to scold the children for being too close, all while dramatically declaring that she was simply trying to follow Kody's rules.
Can't we just relax the rules about COVID?
Later, when Kody asked if he could take Ari and Sol over to Mary's to work outside, Mary was known to be quarantining, Robyn refused. Odd, considering she was supposedly just following, not making, the rules. Meanwhile,
The weekend that we went to go see Hunter for Parents Weekend,
Kody was traveling and attending weddings, despite supposedly enforcing strict COVID protocols. Clearly, the so-called rules were selectively applied. They weren't health guidelines. They were tools for isolation.
I've had to make it really hard for people to travel, like Christine to get home with the kids.
From the very beginning, Robyn made her stance clear. During the initial family video call, while others tried to find a balance between caution and connection, she shut it down with, "Well, based on what I've researched online, that was it." Her version became the only version. Full lockdown, sanitizer overload, no discussions, no compromises. The truth is, no one in that household makes a move without Robyn's approval, not even Kody. And the "I'm just following orders" routine? Nothing more than a well-practiced act.
Kody didn't lose his family, he handed them over to Robyn. There are growing signs that Mykelti and Tony have cut ties with Kody and Robyn. With so many of the adult children now living in North Carolina, others in Utah or Las Vegas, and only Gwen reportedly still in Flagstaff, it raises the question, which of his kids does Kody actually see or speak to anymore?
Kody really did kind of cut off communication with Caleb and Maddie.
It's apparent he wasn't welcome at Maddie's, and now that Janelle has joined her, his access to his grandchildren has likely dwindled even further. Robyn, predictably, seems to have no interest in visiting Aspen, Mitch, or Isabel in Utah, citing vague concerns about safety, as if spending time with her husband's other children somehow poses a risk.
But he says Isabel can go back. Gosh, Isabel would love a phone call from her dad saying, "Can you please not go back?"
And what about Truly? Does he visit her? Call her? Does any effort at all happen there? If anyone's still in contact, it might be Gwen or Logan. Gwen possibly being the one who informed him of Janelle's move, considering she helped with it. In a family this size, it might be expected for one or two relationships to strain over time. But this many? And yet the kids still maintain relationships with each other.
The hardest part of my whole life.
I love you.
The common thread in all the broken ties? Kody. He seems convinced it's all due to jealousy or meddling by the mothers. But this is the same man who practiced polygamy for years, rarely had his wives interact, and now can't seem to function without Robyn by his side.
I'm sorry I can't go.
It's okay. I think him not coming is...
He won't take a solo trip to see his kids, he won't call, he won't even take basic steps to just listen, without blaming someone else. His constant refrain, "I won't let go of Robyn's hand," or "everyone is against me because I love Robyn," comes across less like a defense and more like self-persuasion.
Because I don't actually think we're close at all.
It's unlikely any of his children asked him to leave her. They simply wanted space to have a relationship with their father, not an audience with both parents, not a lecture from Robyn, and certainly not to be treated like adversaries. What he really struggles with is FOMO, fear of missing out. But in his case, it's entirely self-inflicted. He gave up so much. Christine, who brought joy and energy to the family, and always made the kids her priority. Janelle, calm and supportive, who didn't make demands and embraced the chaos of raising boys. Even Mary, though a complicated figure, was loyal, resourceful, and contributed significantly to the family's finances. He had 13 children who once sought out his attention, eager to help, to talk, to spend time with him. A son-in-law who enjoyed his company, an income stream he had full control over. All he had to do was show up, be present, maintain a balanced schedule, give each relationship the attention it deserved. But instead, he chose one woman, a woman who manages his time, monitors how he interacts with her children, spends extravagantly, and deems anything connected to his former life unsafe. A woman who didn't just passively observe the family falling apart, she helped it along. So again, was it worth it? That's all for now. Appreciate you spending a little time here with me on Reality Nexus X. I'm Elena. Until next time, stay well, and I'll see you soon.